Juan Felipe, hey, congratulations for Unidentified Objects.
Thank you, Gig. Appreciate you.
Hey, not a problem. This is such an indie darling film. I mean, it just put smiles to my face from beginning to end. So we want to know is what initially drew you that you wanted to direct this story?
So I would say there's many things. I already had a case, kind of like a research paper that I did about a little person, main character, and I was very fascinated for many reasons. It was like the epitome of like the ultimate outsider in some ways, and especially in cinema. I've never seen a story that truly like explores like a four-dimensional character who has a lot of flaws, but who has like real human problems, and who also happens to be a little person. And then when COVID hit, I think that was like that experience. I would say that was what catapulted the project and the initiative for us writing it, because I was at a time where I was unemployed. I was with my writing partner. We were hopeless, and we kind of like wanted to make a story that gave us a little bit of that sense of escapism and a little bit of that sense of hope of finding ourselves and finding like some a way out in some way. So I feel like the film, it combines a lot of themes that I'm very passionate about, including the stories of outsiders and misfits and people who don't have a place. And COVID kind of like allowed us to find this journey and this escapism, kind of the Wizard of Oz kind of structure to it.
Now I'm really fascinated about the two main characters of this film, Sarah, played by Sarah and Matthew. Were you part of the casting process? Were they already there before?
No. I casted the whole film. So this project, I'm also one of the main producers on it. We built it from scratch, and I knew. So for Matthew, we did audition pretty much every little person in the world. And that was the first thing we ever did. Even before we had a full script, we were already auditioning. And once we saw his tape, we fell in love with him. And then all of a sudden we did a few callbacks, and he was on board. And we didn't only bring him on board as an actor, we brought him as a producer too. We wanted to make sure that we were respecting his point of view and that he also had authorship over the story. So he and I worked very, very closely. And with Sarah Hay, I don't know if you've seen Sarah Hay on a show called Flesh and Bone, but it's a show about ballet. And in some ways, I think the ballet industry it really exploits body image, and it really like has like in some ways it's not the same, but it has that is like objectification of women that it's also very common with sex workers and other professions like that. And I love Sarah Hay since the first moment I saw her, and she was one of like my top choices. And I reached out to her through her managers and agents, and they said because I wanted her to read with Matthew. I wanted to do a chemistry read before I sent her an offer, and they said she doesn't audition or read for indies, and they basically like told me to stop. And then she reached out to me on Instagram, and she said, "Hey, I love the story, I love the script, I love like the initiative that you have. Let's do this behind my managers and agents back." And we did a Zoom call with Matthew, 5 minutes, and then I was like, yeah, she's it. And I was very blessed and very lucky that both of them came to this project with a lot of commitment and heart, and we built. And I think you can see that through the screen.
Now, because of COVID and being this an indie film at the same time, could you talk about the challenges and the creativity you have to use, to portray, I want to say, aliens in its own way, especially with the lighting and costume that you have to pull off?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the whole time we knew we wanted to shoot during COVID. There was a window of time where we had the opportunity to make the movie. So I think even like a lot of limitations influenced the script. Obviously, knowing that we didn't have a lot of money to do a crazy spaceship sequence, so we had to be very smart and creative. And there's a lot that goes into that. For example, most of the movie was shot handheld, like 90%, 95%, except like drone shots. yet I wanted to give it like a dreamlike quality. So I was able to get my hands on these very cool anamorphic lenses that help us with that. I wanted to have like a stylized palette, but I couldn't control like a lot of, because I didn't have a lot of money. So I focused on controlling two colors, which were the yellows and the pinks. The yellow, I mean, yellow brick road, you know what I mean? Like the Wizard of Oz. And pink, the pink color is always an alien on the screen. So it's kind of like, how can we explore alienism in Alien and the meaning of being an alien in the most unconventional or creative ways? And I feel I had a lot to play with that. Obviously, there's like a much bigger story I can go into, but I feel like sometimes when you're put in a box, you find the most creativity, and I feel this movie is 100% a testament to that.
And finally, this is like a road trip type of story. Could you talk about the challenges of doing a road trip type of production? And was it all entirely filmed in Canada for this?
So we actually wanted to film in Canada, but when we started production, we couldn't cross the border. We were based in New York City. So considering like budget limitations and restraints, we and like logistical like hurdles, we went to the border with Canada. We shot the entire movie with like a few miles away from the border of Canada. We found like a lakeside hotel, and we a motel like where we based everybody. We created all the security rings for COVID, and most of the movie was shot within like a 75-mile radius from that location. And also partly for the script, we realized, obviously, like, I wish I had been able to shot in Labrador City, and there's some scenery that I wish I had captured, but I couldn't do that. The budgetary, it just was really hard to get the pink car and the actors and everything there. So I did the best I could with what I had. That being said, I feel like, for example, I wanted also the story to be like crossing a border. So like the idea from New York to Canada was one of those things where I needed to be like, I have never seen a road trip like that. Most road trips are like east to west or west to east, or like and you have multiple weathers. I wanted to be like in this very specific area of the world, but across a border, because our characters don't have a place, so they're like, they live in between borders. That like, there's also, as an immigrant, there's also that immigration theme throughout the story of like, where is your home? Where do you belong? It's characters who live within liminal spaces.
And real fast before I let you go, because you mentioned it, the pink car itself is also a character in the film. How did you come to the decision to get the pink car? I mean, is that your car? Or?
No. So we custom made it for the movie. The car was custom made 100%. I worked very closely with the production designer Sarah Mijan on the choices of colors, and we ended up going with this car. She made a lot of suggestions, and then we ended up with the pink. We wanted to make something iconic and something that we felt we really truly loved. And when we were exploring like different designs, different cars, different types of cars, and we also like what was in the market, to be honest, that also influenced. So when you're looking for when you're making an ultra low budget movie, the cars that are like under $3,000 that work, that are gonna like that, then becomes like a limitation, right? And then you start looking into those cars and you start playing. But we were looking from the beginning for a Jeep or I don't know, because there's kind of like a cool element to it. And then if you throw the pink, there's also like this like flair of authenticity. So yeah, I feel it was an exploration. We do want it to be a color that stood out, that it cut right away, that it stood out from the screen, and obviously pink. We landed on that relatively quick.
Most excellent. That's what makes it a wonderful film. Juan Felipe, thank you very much for speaking to us. This is such a lovely film, and can't wait till the world watch Unidentified Objects. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Giga. Appreciate your time.